Today, we're diving into something that is just a fascinating and honestly urgent masterclass in public health readiness. We're going to break down Nigeria's incredibly proactive defense strategies against Ebola. We'll look at the data, the massive mobilization efforts happening right now, and what this heightened state of alert actually means for everyone on the ground. Plus, what the rest of the world can really learn from how they're handling this.
Right out of the gate, get this. There are 0 confirmed cases in Nigeria right now. Absolutely none. But despite that incredible fact, the country is on maximum high alert. Usually we see countries scramble and mobilize only after a crisis has already crossed their borders, right? Well, health officials here have totally flipped the script. They aren't waiting for a spark to catch fire. Actually, it's more like they're fireproofing the entire house before they even smell smoke from the neighborhood. It's a massive, highly coordinated response, and understanding exactly why they're doing this right now is absolutely crucial.
Section 1. The regional Ebola threat. Let's look at the external risks that are setting off these alarms in the first place.
So if you look at what's happening geographically in Central and East Africa right now, the dominoes are kind of wobbling. The catalyst for Nigeria's heightened vigilance isn't internal at all, it's entirely external. We're seeing these renewed Ebola outbreaks over in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the DRC. But the real warning bell? That was a confirmed linked case in Uganda. When a virus jumps borders like that, the risk profile for regional spread just skyrockets. Health authorities saw this happening and immediately realized, okay, the threat level across the whole continent has fundamentally shifted.
And I think this perfectly captures the modern challenge we're facing. Health authorities put it like this: increased cross-border movement within Africa makes preparation essential. That single idea is the whole foundation of Nigeria's strategy. I mean, think about it. We live in an era of unprecedented, hyper-connected movement. People travel for trade, family, tourism, you name it. You could literally wake up in Central Africa and be touching down in Lagos by the afternoon. Because of that high-speed movement, physical distance just isn't a reliable shield anymore. Being prepared is literally the only shield you've got. Moving on to Section 2, Nigeria's proactive defense strategy. So, how exactly do you build a defense against an invisible enemy that hasn't even arrived yet? Well, the architect of this whole fortress is the NCDC. That's the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention. They're the ones calling the shots on this operation. They've officially flipped the switch to a state of heightened vigilance with one uncompromising goal: to absolutely prevent any importation of the Ebola virus into the country. Full stop. They are taking 0 chances, and they are moving incredibly fast.
What's really brilliant here is how they're dividing their resources. It's basically a two-front war. On the external front, they are locking the outer doors, so to speak. We're talking stronger surveillance at airports, seaports, land borders, and working right in lockstep with port health services. But locking the doors isn't enough on its own. Internally, they're fortifying the house at the exact same time. This means dramatically ramping up laboratory readiness so they can test things quickly, and reinforcing super strict infection prevention measures across all health facilities. It's just a really logical, airtight flow of defense. And they're layering those defenses with even more safety nets. The NCDC is aggressively rolling out expanded public awareness campaigns because, let's be real, an informed public is your absolute best frontline defense. They're working hand in hand with state health authorities to make sure there are no weak links in the armor. Why? Because the ultimate goal of the whole shebang is early detection. If you can detect it early, you enable a rapid response the second a suspected case pops up. They're basically building a system where a single spark can be smothered way before it ever has a chance to spread.
Section 3. Understanding Ebola's warning signs. To really grasp the threat, we need to slow down and look closely at the clinical facts.
This timeline right here is exactly why border vigilance is so incredibly tricky. Imagine day 0 is when someone is exposed to the virus. The absolute earliest they might start feeling sick isn't until day 2. But the maximum incubation period, that can stretch all the way to day 21. That means someone could be walking around for up to 3 weeks, feeling totally fine, boarding planes, going to markets, crossing borders, and nobody would know. That huge 2 to 21 day window is an absolute nightmare for public health. It's exactly why this intense proactive surveillance is the only mathematically sound way to intercept the virus.
And just as a quick refresher on the symptoms, early on, it's terrifyingly similar to just the common flu or malaria. We're talking fever, profound weakness, headache, muscle pain, maybe a sore throat. It is so easy to just brush off. But it escalates fast. In the later stages, it causes severe vomiting and diarrhea. And finally, in severe cases, the real hallmark sign is unexplained bleeding. When you look at how it clinically escalates like that, you can totally see why authorities are practically shouting from the rooftops that early reporting is critical for containment.
Because those early symptoms mimic so many everyday illnesses, the NCDC had to issue a very specific directive for medical professionals. Healthcare workers are being told to maintain a high index of suspicion. But here is the critical part. They can't just look at clinical symptoms, they must look at a patient's recent travel or exposure history. If someone walks into a clinic with a fever and a headache, the absolute very next question has to be, where have you been and who have you been hanging out with? That travel history, that's the missing piece of the puzzle.
Section 4. How you can stay safe. Let's shift gears and talk about what we can all do on a community level. The authorities have laid out exact physical steps that every single individual needs to take. And guys, these aren't just polite suggestions. These are the core building blocks of keeping everyone safe. Step 1. Practice regular hand hygiene. Wash those hands thoroughly and often. Step 2. Avoid contact with the bodily fluids of sick people. Remember, Ebola doesn't spread through the air like COVID-19. It requires direct physical contact with infectious fluids. And step 3, promptly report any unusual illness to the nearest health facility. Don't just wait it out at home hoping you'll feel better. By taking these exact steps, you're literally building a wall of protection for yourself and your entire community.
Oh, and I want to highlight something that almost always gets overlooked in a public health scare. Your information hygiene is just as crucial as washing your hands. The NCDC's advice is super clear on this. Remain calm. Panicking has literally never stopped a virus. Avoid spreading misinformation. If you see a wild rumor popping up on your social media feed, please do not hit forward. Rely only on official updates from verified health authorities. In today's digital world, bad information can spread like wildfire and cause just as much damage by disrupting the very systems meant to protect us.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to really chew on. Can regional borders ever truly contain viral threats in an era of constant, high-speed movement? I mean, Nigeria's massive mobilization shows us pretty clearly that we can't just rely on lines drawn on a map anymore. We have to rely on hypervigilance, rock-solid health infrastructure, and a public that actually knows what to do. That is what a modern fortress of health looks like. Thanks so much for joining me to explore this one today. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.
Please like, share, and subscribe to Master Sense by Faraday, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new and upcoming videos. Drop a comment below and tell us what you'd like to see next.